We like being first, so we are here first at Capernaum. This is a church of the promise of the Eucharist. Very interesting title. The Capernaum is also the town of Jesus. This is where he lived with Peter for 3 years. So we just arrived, the first ones here at Capernaum. Coming up the stairs into this church, which is on 8 legs in a way. It looks kind of like a spaceship. And the reason for that is it's built above the place where Peter's house was, or where Jesus lived. And right down here, you can see this is the place where Jesus lived. This was Peter's house. For 3 years, Jesus lived right in that area. And right out the window is the synagogue where Jesus said, "Eat my flesh and drink my blood," right there. That's the synagogue where he said those words. After the homily, I love giving my talk defending the Eucharist. As a former Protestant, I love to share with people how I came to understand that the Eucharist is the body and blood of Christ. Now what are you going to do, Catholics? Jesus just said he's talking about eat my flesh, drink my blood, eat my flesh. But then he concludes by saying, the flesh profits nothing. So now what are you going to do? You just got your kneecaps cut off. How do you answer that question? Very easy. What does Jesus mean by the flesh? First of all, if you have to read the Bible, you have to be precise, and that's what I'll tell the Protestant now. You are very sloppy. You need to be precise. Jesus said, my flesh, my flesh, my flesh. Now he changes it to the flesh profits nothing. What does he mean by the flesh? If you mean Jesus' flesh, you've proved too much. I can't talk to you now. If you want to ask all your questions, you ask too many questions. And if you want me to answer all your questions, come out fishing with us tonight and you can ask all you want. What would you have done? I said, I'll be here when? 6 o'clock. I said, I'll be here. I went home, took a nap back at the hotel. I should have taken Dramamine. I didn't think of that. I got really sick that night. And I got on that fishing boat with those guys in the evening. At 6 in the evening. And we went from this shore all the way to the northern tip up there where the Jordan River comes in. The mouth of the Jordan River enters into Galilee, where Bethsaida is. And before we got all the way to the northern tip, we set the nets.
We say a prayer, the engines will start.
If not, you have to walk back.
To make our way back, you're welcome to get up and move around. If you do, look around, make sure you're not all on one side of the boat.
There's the coastline where Jesus lived and did his ministry, the Mount of Beatitudes. Primacy of Peter is right down there. I can see Capernaum up there, and Bethsaida is in the mist over in that way. That right there is the place where Jesus lived and worked. And right over here is Kersey, where the pigs were rushed into the sea and drowned. We go to see a movie about the finding of an ancient boat from 2,000 years ago, and this is that boat. After we see that ancient boat, we get back on the bus for lunch. David parking our brand new Mercedes bus, pulling down the shade so it stays cool, and we're at the Tangerine restaurant right down by Mount Arbel. We are always the first bus here so that they get clean restrooms and good service and food. And I'll take you in to show you where everybody is. Owned by Christians here, a nice restaurant. Take good care of us. Oh, look what's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's getting settled in. We're going to have St. Peter's fish.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father in heaven, as we are on our pilgrimage, we thank you for continuing to nourish us and feed us. Well, I don't know how to. No, but
It's better. Maneuvering okay with that fish?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, doing
Very
all
good.
right?
We're from Florida.
Doing really well. It's very good.
Very good.
Yours?
Very good.
he is the spiritual director.
It's very, very good. For some of them to show up.
Just trying to be careful with the carabiner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just like
After lunch, back on our beautiful bus, and we head south to Jerusalem. 2 hours, but we stop halfway in between at a rest area where we all get ice cream and use the bathrooms. And then I tell my conversion story along the rest of the route. After traveling for an hour, we stop at a rest area here, and this sign is always a welcome sign, but so is all the ice cream and the goodies here that people have a chance to half an hour to take a break, stretch their legs, and get some ice cream. There, and then we're going to walk up a pretty big hill, actually, a big hill up to the top to the Visitation. And if you complain about that hill, I'm going to remind you that Mary has already walked all this way, and she's only halfway there. She's probably 3 days into her journey. She's probably got at least 3 days of walking again from sunup until sundown. And then she's going to also walk up that hill that you're walking up.
That's exactly right.
Now, she has a right to go, oh, you don't. So, as you know, Janet and I were not always Catholics. We were both raised in Protestant families. So I'll start with my family. My mom and dad were not raised with any religion. They were what I call good American pagans. An hour later, we arrived in Ein Kerem, which is the home of Elizabeth and Zechariah in the Visitation. We just got off the bus and we're on our way to Visitation. Look at this line of people. But we're stopping at the restroom first. Look at them all the way up there. It's always nice to get off the bus and start walking. But we're going to hit the restrooms first and then up the mountain. Good, they're open. Sometimes they're not open. And then the Church of the Visitation is right up top of that hill. We're going to head up. Here's our group starting to climb up the mountain to the Visitation. The Visitation Church. It's kind of a steep climb, but not too bad. Of the Visitation, where Mary met Elizabeth. Here's the well to mark the place where they met. Still functioning well from what I understand. There's Zechariah, the high priest, who was offering sacrifices when the angel came and told him he's going to have a son, and he didn't believe it. Here's Mary arriving to see Elizabeth. Holy Spirit above her. I doubt Mary looked like that when she arrived. Then here is the slaughter of the innocents, because that was within the realm of the decree. And this is the rock behind which John the Baptist was saved. Right there. Right there.
Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
The upper church. This is the Council of Ephesus in 431. This is Mary, Queen of Heaven, Mother of the Church. Cana, beautiful Marian art. Here's the Battle of Lepanto, 1571. And here is Don Scotus, the Franciscan, who helped understand the Immaculate Conception. And there's Mary, the Queen of Heaven, from Revelation chapter 12. And so when Moses finished making that, he stepped back and it says the glory of God, the Holy One of God, overshadowed the ark. The exact same words, the only time they're ever used again is when the angel tells Mary, the Holy One of God is going to overshadow you. It's a parallel. Here's the Ark of the Covenant. The Holy One of God overshadows it. You're the new Ark of the Covenant. The Holy One of God is going to overshadow you. What was in the Ark of the Old Covenant and what was in Mary's womb? In the Ark of the Old Covenant was the Word of God inscribed in stone. What's in Mary's womb? The Word of God inscribed in flesh. We now go to the upper church, which has some of my favorite Marian art, and I describe it and explain it while we're here. For the sake of time, I want to touch on these right here. We'll start in the middle. We'll start here. We were there 2 days ago. Cana of Galilee, Mary tells Jesus to start his earthly ministry. We know all about that because we were there. This is Mary, mother of the church. She's the queen of heaven to the city crown kingdom. She's the queen of heaven and the mother of the church. Well, we all just got off our big, beautiful bus. And we're going in the lobby here. Everybody's already up in their rooms, but I wanted to show this to you anyway. This is our home away from home. Janet and I have stayed here over 200 times since 1995. Here's the lobby. Look at this nice sign. Welcome to the Holy Land, Footprints of God, Steve and Janet Ray, Holy Sepulchre, and corporate travel, and Amr Shahada Best Tours. There's a nice little restaurant, coffee shop here. And this is where we're all going to be eating our breakfast and the dinners that we have here. This is the very nice dining area. For about an hour, everybody will be down here, ready for dinner. Thank you. Good to be back. I'm making a movie. Hello, George.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, welcome,
Hello.
Philip.
Glad to be back to our home. This is our home.
Welcome back.
Maher, he's in charge. He's the boss. We've known him for 25 years. Been friends. And you know where to eat when you come here because all the tables have those signs on them right there. Steve and Janet Ray. We're going to have this whole section here is all for our group. So, we'll see you tomorrow morning. This picture of the Last Supper is in the Notre Dame, and here's the question. Can you find Judas?